Among the very first chapters of Primaris Space Marines founded by Rabute Gilliman were the Grim Hawks, a chapter intended to act as a vanguard for the Indomitus Crusade when it would begin to move north of the Eye of Terror, an event that never happened. They initially departed from Mars with great fanfare, accompanied by two whole newly reinforced Space Marine chapters, the Storm Brethren and the Knights of Redemption, 3 regiments of Imperial Guard, and some much needed reinforcements for Battlefleet Calixis. The Grimhawks were to be the first Space Marine chapter to call the much troubled Calixis sector their home, and they have even been given their own newly repaired Ramilles class starfort to act as their base of operations. However, all did not go well for this ill-fated chapter. After surviving through passing through the treacherous Nakmund Gauntlet, the only passage through the Cicatrix Maledictum, the procession was ambushed by a mixed fleet of Imperial Navy renegades and Chaos Space Marine warbands, all apparently hell-bent on obtaining the starfort that was in tow. Thus began a great running battle towards the relative safety of the Calixis sector that resulted in horrendous casualties for all forces involved, including the complete annihilation of the Storm Brethren and 2 whole Imperial Guard regiments. The Imperial fleet was successful in making it to the Calixis sector and rendezvousing with the ships of Battlefleet Calixis, who successfully used their superior firepower and numbers to destroy or drive off the rest of the pursuing vessels. But there was no time for celebration yet. In battle, the Ramilles class starfort had sustained heavy damage to its engines that was supposed to have kept the massive fortress in geostationary orbit over Stygian Prime. A number of the massive tugs towing the fort had been lost in the conflict, and the remaining ships were unable to keep the behemoth of a space station from falling into the planet's atmosphere. Only by firing their engines to full could the tugs prevent the descent into Stygian Prime's atmosphere from destroying the fort entirely, slowing the descent just enough to complete the first ever recorded landing of a Ramilles class starfort on a planet's surface. Now the Grimhawks, who have since absorbed the surviving members of the Knights of Redemption, most of whom were Primaris Space Marines, into their ranks, have made their home in the crashed fortress, which they have now named Hawk's Landing, along with the remaining Imperial Guard regiment, who named themselves the Stygian Hawks Regiment in honour of the chapter they view as their saviours. As for the Knights of Redemption, only fragments of the 5th, 7th, 8th and 10th companies remained. The survivings of the Knights of Redemption's 10th Company were integrated into the Grimhawk Scout Company. The Primaris Marines of the 5th and 8th Companies redistributed throughout the Grimhawks ranks, and the non-Primaris Space Marines of the 5th, 7th and 8th Companies were reorganised into the 11th and 12th Companies of the Grimhawks. Their current chapter master, who has held the post since the chapter's founding, is Baltsaros Agamemnon, the self-titled Archduke of the Grimhawks. While he is considered to be power-mad and egotistical, often inventing new battle honours just so he can decorate his armour with them, it cannot be denied that he is truly a fierce warrior and a supreme tactician, and as such he has not been challenged in his leadership for the chapter despite his lack of popularity amongst the captains. Although the chapter has few relics of its own, the most notable is the Air Axe, a large 2-handed power axe wielded by the chapter master as his personal weapon. The weapon was found during a cult uprising on the hive world of Narcan 5, buried in the chest of a heretic Astartes of an unknown warband atop a pile of his deceased brothers. Where the axe came from, who the heretic Astartes were, and who killed them are all unknown, but what is known is that the axe is in some way blessed or holy, as it has been seen to cause immense pain to those in league with Chaos when they come into contact with the runic symbols scrawled across its surface. The personal flagship of Agamemnon is the Accipiter, a Retribution-class battleship gifted to the chapter after the chapter's battle barges, Shikra and Besra, were crippled during the flight from the Nakmund Gauntlet. The Grimhawks are unique amongst most Space Marine chapters in that they have an unnumbered company known as Mortis Company, which exists separately from the standard rank structure. Mortis Company consists of scouts, reavers, and veterans who have shown the greatest affinity for stealth, and the librarians who both have the greatest knowledge and experience of many phenomena unique to the Calixis sector. Upon being anointed to Mortis Company, each Space Marine replaces his last name with Mortis, symbolising his devotion to the efforts of the Mortis Company. Each Brother Mortis, as they are known, also changes the coloration to parts of their armour to black, and removes all personal heraldry from their right pauldron, simply replacing it with the seal of the Inquisition and the word Mortis written in an unknown language. It is the role of the Mortis Company to act as bodyguards and advisors for any Inquisitors proceeding into the more dangerous areas of the Calixis sector in their investigations. The current Mortis captain is also the chief librarian of the Grimhawks, a mysterious figure known simply as Ogmar Mortis, who is considered by the Inquisition to be the foremost expert among Astartes on the Calixis sector, and an honorary member of the Tyrantine Cabal. Since arriving in the Calixis sector, the Grimhawks have taken on the role of enforcing Imperial rule on rebellious worlds, and have seen little combat with Xenos foes, and rarely fight alongside other Space Marines, with the majority of their combat being against rebels, cults, gangs, and renegades in tightly packed hive cities. Because of this, they have become known as the Calixis Enforcers, or less commonly, Astartes Arbites, by those acquainted with them. The Inquisitors who come to work closely with the Grimhawks know better than to mock them, as they are a chapter who truly do live up to their name. In battle, they are cold, efficient, and utterly merciless, lacking any of the humanitarian values of their progenitor legion, the Salamanders. One thing they do share with the Salamanders, however, is their steadfast resolve and defiance in the face of overwhelming odds that would make even other Astartes balk at. The short history of the Grimhawks is littered with examples of small forces of Astartes being surrounded on all sides and vastly outnumbered, yet stoically and grimly accepting their duty and fighting on until either victory or death, not even for a moment considering retreat.